Consider the human rights of people living with albinism. Cultures across the globe have developed many myths and superstitions regarding those with albinism. To talk to us some more about the plight of those living with albinism, we're joined on the line by the Albinism Society of South Africa's Executive Director, that's Mr. Nomasonto Mazibuko. Good afternoon, Nomasonto. Always a pleasure to chat with you on the SABC News Desk.
Yes, good afternoon,
Nomasonto, albinism is still something that's profoundly misunderstood socially and even medically. And there's so much erroneous beliefs and myths influenced by superstitions. Let's please start by you debunking some of those dangerous myths for us.
The very first one and most famous one is the one that people with albinism do not die, they disappear. The second one is that when you have a sexual intercourse with a young girl child who have not reached puberty, your HIV status will be cured. And the other one that is very controversial is that we've got supernatural powers, because it's why I say it surprises me. It's because when it suits our people, we are a curse when we're born into a family, and yet when people want to take our body parts, then we give luck, then we've got supernatural healing powers.
Nomasonto, many of these myths, like you're saying, heavily influenced by superstition, and it does put the security of those living with albinism and their safety at constant risk. How are we doing in terms of conscientizing our communities and raising awareness when it comes to situations like this?
I would say not very well, because we always say to young people or to people with albinism, never talk to strangers, be aware of the surroundings where you are, and always be in the midst of other people, or tell somebody where you are. But in the latest situation that we found ourselves in Gauteng, in Mpumalanga last beginning of the year, is that a young girl was kidnapped and abducted from her home very early in the morning, around 1 o'clock. And up to now, Kapsile's body parts have not been got, because now she's not even buried. So it means we are not very sure of where we're going, and the human trafficking is very rife of late. And it's not even affecting people with albinism alone, but every girl child or every child that would be taken by a stranger or somebody they know.
Nomasonto, why are those living with albinos still being targeted and killed in South Africa today? And what do you want to see police do more of to protect this vulnerable community at this juncture?
Well, it's very hard to get people to be out of their belief system. Why we chose September as the Albinism Society is because it's Heritage Month. It's where we even our spiritual people, our traditional healers, around this month, everybody is saying it's spring. Everybody is preparing for their own summer situations. So we are in partnership with the South African Police Service, where we educate them. Minister Pegicele said police should not wait for the 48 turnaround time. Immediately a person comes to the police station, then people should run to look for the children. So we are trying to educate the police force to say it is not the belief that we disappear. They must not take it for granted that a child has disappeared or a person with albinism has disappeared. They must know that it's human trafficking or that person has been killed, so that we go along. Most of the time, people will get the person who have been killed or the person who have been abducted, because the communities themselves are now very vigilant and they are on our side.
This has long evolved into a human rights issue, and people living with albinism face multiple forms of discrimination and stigma. It's not only a uniquely South African problem, but a worldwide phenomenon. But give us a sense of how this manifests in the daily lives for those living with albinism, Nomasonto.
Let me say you leave home. When you leave home, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. As soon as you reach your destination, you phone your families to say, I've arrived at work safely. When you're supposed to leave home, work or school, you alert somebody to say, I'm leaving home, I'm leaving school, I'm leaving work now. And as soon as you reach your destination, people around you, and you sensitize your family members, your neighbors, your church members to say, we are working together, and we people with albinism and our families cannot do it alone. That is why we unite with the Human Rights Commission, with the CRL Commission, with the Gender Commission to say, let's work together. We cannot combat the scourge of people with albinism being killed. Let's sensitize, and we also work very closely to say to government, give us the hope that it is a human right that I should be protected, not only by my family, but as the whole community and government itself.
Nomasonto Mazibuko, they're talking to us on the line from Johannesburg. She's, of course, the Executive Director of the Albinism Society of South Africa. Time to take a short